Benny, we are all going to leave this earth one day, whether we like it or not. So, my question for you is, how do you want to be remembered when you're gone? Today's guest is someone who doesn't just talk about fitness, he lives it, breathes it, and builds legacies around it. Benny Legacy is a Canadian personal trainer, entrepreneur, and licensed nutritionist through the HKI Human Kinetics Institute, who spent over 15 years transforming not just bodies, but lives. From Ottawa, he is the founder and CEO of Limitless Legacy Fitness and Health Incorporation, a brand built on the belief that health and wellness aren't just part of life, they are the foundation for everything we do. Through his coaching, clothing line, and content, Benny has helped hundreds of people, aka his legacy family, not just get in shape, but design a way of living they love and are proud of. His approach cannot be copied because it's drawn from his own lived experiences and from the simple truth that a diet isn't restriction, it's a way of living. He's been featured on the Guyana Fitness Show. He's given away thousands of free resources and continues to prove that legacy is built one intentional choice at a time. This isn't just about health, guys. Let's go. It's about mindset, discipline, and creating something that lasts long after the weights are put down. Benny Legacy, welcome to the show, brother. Let's go. How you doing?
Hey, Alvin, thank you so much, sir, for that. I really appreciate that. It's I'm doing very well, and that made my morning this much better. So
Oh,
very grateful.
you're welcome, bro.
Very-
Welcome. And
Yeah.
so let's get to the basics. So, who is Benny Legacy? I want to know why did you even choose this name, Benny Legacy?
No, I appreciate that. So my father is from Hong Kong. My mother's Italian, and my nonno in Italian culture, you always pass down one of the names to the lineage. So my nonno's name was Bonaventura Legaci, which means a good journey, a good legacy. So because my middle name is, I took that Legaci from him, and my parents gave me that. And so I just decided there were quite a few Ben Wongs out there. So I was said, how could I tie this to my brand and tie it to my family lineage? And so that's why I specifically chose the word legacy or legacy in Italian to English.
Ooh, that's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
That's powerful,
And
bro.
then what I appreciate that, man. But prior to doing this, um, I started a brand with a partner who still continues this brand and lives it exponentially well. But we started Legend Fitness and Health. And
Oh,
then I realized over time that, like, because the I Am Legend movies and
uh,
these things, I
Will
just
Smith,
realized
right?
that,
Will
what's
Smith movie?
that, sir? Yeah, the Will Smith movie. Yes, sir. You remember that one?
Yeah, let's go.
Such a powerful movie, right? And it just hit me with with the African proverb, Alvin, where you can go fast alone, but to go further, you go together. And so that's why I felt like legacy for
So
me was a word that drew me more into the meaning.
that's powerful, brother. So thank you for sharing this. I know there's a lot of time, a lot of thinking process that goes into choosing a brand name, and thank you for explaining it so beautifully. And
You know?
I want to dive into something that you're working on recently. You've sent me your 7-day blueprint, which I think is really good. So I will just, if you don't mind, quickly outline the day one till day seven, and please walk us through how you created it and how, more important, how it will help people who will use this 7-day blueprint. Are you game for it?
I'm very game for it. Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
So,
So, sorry, go ahead.
I will just outline day one till day seven, and we'll just leave the mic up to you, bro. So, day
Okay.
one, it's hydrate for power. Day two, move with intention. Day three, fuel like a leader. Love it. Day four, reset stress. Day 5, sleep as strategy. And this one is big. I've learned something. I mean, I will let you just preach on it. Day
It's
6,
okay.
upgrade self-talk. And finally, day 7, the best, legacy reflection. So, yes, brother, just enlighten us. Let's go.
So, okay, great. So for hydration for power, I generally believe this comes down to the science background for studying, and it kind of ties into the greater concept of the whole philosophy of what the brand is trying to produce to people as a service, even though, right, is just getting our minds to conceptualize that the foundation of health. So, for example, when it comes down to a diet, right, that word and why I took it from that is I went to the origin, which is in Latin, and it means a way of living. So what I realized is I thought about it, how come so many people are kind of living this cyclical event where every year, 5 years, decade, they're always returning back to previous habits and previous tendencies. And I thought about it, maybe there's not enough direct information, or maybe the whole way of the health and fitness has been projected to us as being linear versus circular,
Oh,
right?
love that.
So you know what I mean? So it's not like because we can obtain a certain physique, but if we stop producing the same habits or consistency, that physique it's going to go away soon. And so the correlating factor is that we as the host are always the ones that obtain the goal. The goal never obtains us. So breaking that down into 7 healthy habits or healing habits is just to help people realize that there's a lot of information out there, but certain specific habits can make an immediate difference and they don't need to be super strict all the time. And that's why I really put that out there. So for hydrating for power, as I try to break it down to people, I like to give a little bit of science behind that and then obviously an action item. So how they can perform it themselves and a little bit of how I think about that component, right? So the legacy node. So for hydration with power, we just when it comes down to metabolism or metabolic work, okay, we do know and it's clear now in the health space that we're at least 75 to 80% fluid, different types of fluid, right? And those fluids are oftentimes retained or held in our body for from specific nutrients, okay? So there's electrolytes, salt, potassium. There's a bunch. There's 7 different ones that can really assist with retaining water, intracellular and extracellular. So intracellular water being the water that we're storing for recovery and healing. Extracellular water is the water that we're ready to detox and use as cooling our bodies when we sweat, perspire, and get rid of the old essentially after it's passed through the major organs.
Yeah.
So to tie it into kind of like my major concept, Alvin, is like a metabolic budget. So how do we
What's
create
that? A metabolic budget? What's the word?
yeah, so like a metabolic budget
Love it.
is kind of like a financial budget for our finances. So this is the easiest way I found to explain it to most of us because now 2025, all of us know what a budget is for sure, right?
Yeah, brother.
So
Definitely.
yeah, right? Yeah, yeah. So we all know what that is. So I was trying to translate how we can make a metabolic budget or how can we create an intake budget for a way of living, just like people would need a financial budget to hit their short-term and long-term goals. Okay. So when we talk about a metabolic budget, the way I specifically explain it is like this is your budget for energy, your capacity to output. And the first thing that we want to always focus on is hydrating for performance, because that is essentially no matter what we eat, and no matter what we're putting in, the water is going to be the major component to process and move those things around. So, and a lot of times we utilize supplements like caffeine, pre-workouts.
How about
Most people
creatine?
that,
Creatine for
yeah,
water retention.
great. Creatine is an amazing tool for hydration. It's an amino acid we already reproduce ourselves.
Mm.
However, we would need to take in way more. We would need to eat. They said it one piece of steak at 5 6 ounces for every single day, for
Whoa.
every hour, every single day, in order for us to get 20 grams of creatine.
Whoa.
So
That's
it's
that's a
a
lot of.
lot, man. It's a lot, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think creatine's great for intracellular water, meaning it'll store more of the nutrients that we eat. So glucose, it'll store predominantly ATP, which is going to be the primary energy for our muscular and skeletal system and our CNS nervous system. And ATP is broken down glucose from carbohydrate sources, could be bread, could be pastas, fruits, even certain vegetables or avocados, these things will provide us some form of glucose.
Okay.
So that's okay. So that's what creatine really does. It's like more jet fuel in the muscle. So hydrating for power is or performance is going to be predominantly focused on building the correct electrolyte chain that we can take in every single day. And this will help force us to recognize the biological growth or change in our body without taking, let's say, a stimulant like caffeine or something like that.
Okay.
So if that okay, so if that kind of makes sense,
It does. It does.
because pretty much a lot of these stimulants like caffeine here, I'm a fan. They many of them take in
Let's
order to
go.
give. Yeah, cheers, brother. Cheers. So that's mainly a lot of these stimulants we input in our body. They do create some kind of biological shift,
Hmm.
which is what gives us the energy, but they also take away at the same time,
Mm.
which we don't see, right? So as much as they give, they create debt. So hydrating for power or hydrating
Love how you
to
say
be a
it.
leader, yeah, is just going to essentially ensure that our body is naturally going to find a homeostasis where even a cup of caffeine will make us feel a little bit anxious, like we first had it when we very first tapped into having coffee.
Oh.
And so, yeah, so after a hydration cycle, people will realize like, I don't need 3 cups in the morning after I have some Celtic salt, a bit of lemon, and maybe a liter of water. I can just have one caffeine, one drink of coffee, and H2O, hydration, and to oxygen. You mix that with a caffeine, you're just going to move the caffeine through the body the more water you have in your body already. So
Oh,
instead of having more cups of coffee, hydrate for performance, hydrate for power, and you'll see that less is more.
wow.
That's the main sense of that number one.
A lot of people will benefit. I mean, people who take like 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day, they will benefit a lot from this thing. And I heard one thing. I'm not a nutritionist, but I heard a
Oh, that's
UFC
fair.
fighter speak about. He was speaking to Joe Rogan. I don't remember. He was speaking about how caffeine inhibits iron absorption after a meal. I don't know if you. It's
Mm.
recent thing I've heard. I don't know a lot about it, but
I would, like when it comes to trace minerals and how they're processed and ingested, I think what the media likes to do, and this is something I'm hoping to change as well, but this is a very uphill battle, right?
so
The media likes to utilize blanket statements in
yeah.
order to create scarcity, in order to create controversy, in order to sell something.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful to say. But yes, let's go. That's true.
The- because Alvin, I really genuinely believe, right? Like you're an expert at something. I might not know what you're an expert at yet, but I bet you're an expert at something. And if I was to come to you and say, Alvin, I need your help with XYZ, right? Most you might tell me, listen, what's your issue and what do you feel you're experiencing or what's your biggest struggle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whereas someone who's less of a professional or someone that I call they're what I call them is kind of like not predatory professionals, but people that recognize they're very intelligent and they find the scarcity within a message and they extract that to sell it, right? And because they're very intelligent and because they have the background
Hmm.
for the education, they're not going to be. It's hard to discredit them,
Yeah. Oh, that's
right?
the
So
authority bias, right? Because someone is in a position of authority, we tend to trust each and every one of their words, even if it doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah.
we absolutely right. Just 5 years ago, the whole world shut down. Nobody asked anything about it. No one asked for science or background or anything like that, right? So I find so into regards to that statement, I'm not going to displace it because there might be I don't want to say something incorrect, and I also don't want to discredit another health professional that's trying to give more information out to the people, right? I think that's
I respect
beautiful.
that. Let's go.
But I would always look at causation and correlating factors. So if you think this is the causation, what's the correlating factors? Correlating factors is when they say caffeine inhibits somebody's absorption of zinc, so iron,
Yeah,
excuse me, after you said after a meal.
yeah. After a meal, like they
Uh,
discourage you to take it after a meal. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of other benefits to go correlating factors. So we all know that caffeine is a vasoconstrictor,
Oh,
right? And so what that means is it actually compresses the arteries and reduces blood flow, which triggers in our brain a stress response in our heart to produce more red blood cells.
okay.
So,
Thank you. I
okay,
didn't know that. Yeah. Let's
no,
go.
okay, no problem. And so if I eat a big meal, rest and digest, what is my body looking to do? It's looking to circulate blood to aid with digestion.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I take caffeine, what other nutrients is caffeine preventing my body short term and long term from absorbing after a meal? Is it only iron? And the second thing too is which demographic of people, being what age, what ethnicity, and what environment are they living in?
Let's
Would
go.
do they all respond the same?
Then the answer is no, always.
Correct.
It's always no. Yeah.
You s- This is why I've always had a hard time coming out, Alvin, and talking about these things on like a specific problem on a grand scale, right? Because the more I've learned about the health fitness, the health realm here in North America, every single study is predominantly, and nothing wrong with this, it's just this was the need at the time, but all of the medical science is based on Caucasian males.
Oh,
Okay, because the last 100 years, that was predominantly the workforce in this environment, right?
does it work for us?
So,
I mean, I'm not Caucasian. I'm pretty sure
me
you're.
neither.
Yeah.
Me
Let's go.
neither. Me neither. For example, right? Like they say, typically here, an average person should take anywhere from 2 to 3,000 IU's of vitamin D a day. But I have clients that will go get blood tests done for blood panels, and if they took 3,000 IU's of vitamin D a day, they would still chronically be short, like low in that trace mineral and that vitamin constantly. So they have to go get tested, and some of them need anywhere from 9 to 12,000 IU's a day, depending where where their lineage or history came from. So great question about that. In regards to caffeine after a meal, I don't think it's a great idea. The major reason being, I know we get a bit of lethargic feeling after a meal. So this is where we can encourage a more of a positive emotion by creating motion. So one of the lifestyle habits with people in the team is that I say, listen, after a big meal at 5 or 6, I'd like you just to go for a 15 to 20-minute walk. Or if you can't leave your house, then you do something within your house that you've wanted to do, but you haven't taken time to do for 15 to 20 minutes. After that, then you can have some caffeine.
I
Give
love
yourself some time for the digestion.
I love it. That's what I've been implementing, following. I mean, when I've seen this it was a short actually, but now I do have, I would say, advice from a licensed nutritionist, which has really, I mean, you have the experience, bro. You do have it.
I
So yeah.
appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I really do.
Uh, so oh, we've taken a lot of time with just hydrate for power. Do you have
Yeah.
anything? Oh, you know, you've covered hydrate for power, moving with intention, like with the walk. So let's keep going.
Okay. Perfect, man. Okay. So, move with intention. So this is a really big one, mainly due to the fact that it's kind of like we were taught this, right? We hear it in leadership coaching all the time, which is like it's not so much about moving with speed, it's about moving with direction.
Oh,
And you're an active guy. You're in good shape too. I see you posting those workouts in the morning, and I love that stuff because yes,
not,
sir, I love that
not
because you're
as
not
active
making
as you, but yeah, I do work out. Yeah.
no, man, you're doing great. And so right, working at Good Life for so many years, right? I spent many years at Good Life. I became the youngest fitness manager there in the history of the company at 22 as
Yes.
an assistant fitness manager and then moved up. And I realized that, like, how come so many people were at Good Life members? I would look at the lists of people and I would say, okay, they used to put a turtle beside the name for somebody that wasn't coming in a lot, and they would put a rabbit beside the person that came in consistently on the membership check-in.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you found someone with a turtle, you could call them and be like, "Hey, what's going on? It's been 90 days since you stepped in the gym. Why don't I offer you a free session?" And that's literally how I built the business while a lot of trainers were waiting for the new members to come in. Okay. And I knew it. These new members are already moving with a lot of intention. They're motivated. Not it's January. I'm starting the new year off
Yeah.
correct on the
New
right
year, new
foot.
me.
New year, new me. That's the intention.
Yeah.
As time goes by, life kicks in, right?
Yeah.
And I felt that in order to get people to move with real intention, I had to specifically get them to figure out what is the reason that they originally started, right? And how long are you willing to push off delayed gratification in order for you to move intentionally long enough in order to get the result that you're looking for. And so they'll say, well, I would be willing to do it for the next year if I knew what I was doing. Okay. So we just got to figure out how to move with intention. And so you don't like the gym, that's totally fine. There's people that do not really exercise with weights.
I work
That's
out
totally,
at home. I don't go to the gym. Maybe this will change with you. I don't know. Let's go.
hey, that's it, right? But you still got a good muscle structure, right? And so, and absolutely, man. And so that's the thing. It's just more about a diet, which means a way of living, not even food. A diet is a way of living. So move with intention was the major premise there because I found once people recognize, okay, why am I going to eat like this? Number one, why am I even doing cardio for 30 minutes on this every day? What's the purpose? That's when we can reverse engineer why they're doing certain things. And then I could move them forward with intention. And week by week, I would see that they were invested in the movement. They were showing up early. They were putting in extra reps because they had a short term and a long term goal for themselves.
That's beautiful.
So,
That's beautiful.
yeah,
Wow.
appreciate that.
I don't think you can add any much more to what you just said. So let's move on
No.
to
So,
the fuel like a leader. Let's go.
um, okay. So feeling like a leader. I think the more someone adopts a leadership role, what
Mhm.
typically tends to happen by nature is they end up living more outside of their body than inside, at least for the beginning
What
portion of this career.
what do you mean by living more outside? Like they focus more on the external environment rather than the inner world? How does
Yeah, that's so. For example, like say, we get to a position of leadership, so we have some staff, for example, okay? So
okay.
what ends up happening, right, is it comes down to the concept of there's always going to be things that pull our attention, pull our currency away from us, right? And so when it came down to it, I think this quote came from Jay-Z back in an interview in the 1990s, and they said like, "How are you such a successful businessman?" And he replied to them, he said, I'm not a businessman. I am the business man. And what he meant by that is he understood that he's at the middle of everything and everyone else, even though he loves them and they're important, without him, this whole thing would collapse.
Wow.
So fueling ourselves like a leader comes down to understanding how our body, through through giving so much energy out all the time, we're actually just really, in order to give, it's the law of alchemy. Or the law of chemistry, right? In order for us to gain, we have to give something of equal or greater value.
Oh, I love it. I love
Okay,
it.
so fueling our body, making sure our blood sugar is regular with the good balance of dietary fats. I mean, very popular ones. There's basic things like avocados, nuts. Certain oils are good. MCT oil, coconut oil. Even taking these in doses throughout the day will actually regulate people's cortisol and endocrine system, being their stress hormonal response system.
Okay.
Because if we're just eating carbs or sugars, as you know, we get the spike and the drop,
This,
right?
yeah,
And then we want to sleep.
yeah. I don't
So
do carbs in the morning just because of the mental fog that I get from eating too much carbs. I just ate just a quick some eggs, bacons, my protein shake, and I've just started doing some creatine. That's why I ask you about it. So let's dive into it later. Like you can
yeah.
coach me live. I'm open to it because I'm not a
So
fitness.
you so right now yourself, what's your kind of breakfast in the morning?
Okay, so it's 5 slices of bacon, 2 eggs, 25 grams of protein shake. I do have my, it's Highway Revolution, no fat. So I can,
Nice.
do you want
Yeah.
me to show you quickly?
I'm always I believe Revolution, I love it. I believe they're a company from Montreal. I think they're a really great brand. They've been around for a long time. If they ever watch this, good
Not
stuff.
sure if I'm allowed to do this, but we can edit this out. So let's go.
What do you mean? Every publicity is good publicity. So,
Yeah,
right?
let's
No,
go.
I'm just kidding. They're a great brand. They're from Montreal and I think they're very popular. I've
Oh,
seen them around for a very, very long time and they have a lot of good flavors.
oh yeah, and the taste is amazing. Anyway, sorry
Yeah,
to
yeah.
interrupt you.
No,
Let's
it's
keep
okay.
going.
I like it. I like it. So I guess day four is then the reset the stress, right?
Uh,
So I think, or did you have any more about
no, 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 no.
the,
Let's go.
okay, sounds good. So moving in attention, feeling like a leader. I mean, we always, one of my favorite sayings, Alvin, is fuel your Ferrari, right? And now the reason why I chose a Ferrari is because, I'm half Italian, but on the other side too, I really believe it's like a Ferrari is designed from the concept of a horse. And a horse's capability is it changed what men and humans could do forever.
Yeah,
The ability to move and roam. And so if we don't have the horse, we don't have the car, we don't have the horse, we only have ourselves. And so that's why we need to remember we need to fuel our body because the more we put out, the more we actually lose. So it's just key that we're constantly creating, a healthy input or healthy metabolic budget so we can actually fuel ourselves long term. Okay. And I think the other thing too is without fueling properly, like a lot of people often want to have consults, right? They'll say things like, oh, well, I don't have energy for my kids, or like my sex life is really bad with my spouse, right? Like we're too tired. And then when I say, okay, so let's tap into your energy, let's create this, let's create that. What ends up happening is sometimes people will have limiting beliefs. Could be financial is always a factor, right? We know that in today's world. But
yeah,
oftentimes, if someone was to say, hey, if you go in debt X amount of dollars, right? But this is going to be the result. This is a way of investing and fueling yourself, right? For the future.
yeah.
This is that once people recognize that, that's when their whole life becomes much better.
Yeah, it's
But
an
that also,
investment in yourself. It's not that. Like you're investing
it's,
in yourself for future gain or future positive outcome.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. So, and then day four, I guess what happens is I think humans over time, right? This can go if we want to talk more the spiritual side. It's the mask we talk about, right? So what kind of mask are we wearing in our day-to-day routine in order to project some kind of persona, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Our social image is at the very top. So and then, community and food is at the bottom. So I think over time we are trying to constantly project who we are, and then we end up embodying that framework. And this is where I believe that midlife crisis comes from because many of the clients I've worked with in the past, if they divorce or they get sick,
Mm.
um, or their kids stop liking them, it's like they really have a midlife crisis,
Okay.
right? And so if you can implement at once a week at least to reset your stress, take a look at uncontrolled external factors that are causing immune deficiency, causing digestive issues,
That,
because those bioindicators, preliminary, are indicating for long-term issues.
whoa. Uh,
And
little thing I've heard, I'm sorry to interrupt. I heard Jeff Bezos
no,
give, everyone knows Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, billionaire,
yes, sir.
once gave a definition of what is stress. He said that it's something that you can have control on, but you're not deciding to control it. Or otherwise, it's something you do not have control on and you're trying to control it. That's his, I find it's a simple but yet powerful definition of stress. I'm sorry, I had to just say it. Please go on.
No, I love that. And this is so in the amygdala, right? This is our kind of where if we do something we don't like, then it actually increases our capability to do that again. And then if the next day we like doing it and we do it again, our amygdala doesn't grow. So this is the interesting thing of how the human genome works is we
Friction.
grow through doing things we just don't like to do.
We,
right?
the friction, we need the friction, like David Goggins
I know.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, right. As much as that sucks to think about, it's the truth.
Yeah.
So a lot of us don't like to slow down. A lot of us don't like to deal with the daily stress factors. So kind of what I have given to some of my clients is what I call a 30 by 30. So number one is recognizing that we're capable of holding and handling a lot more stress than we think of. So 30 by 30 is a challenge for my legacy family where I want you to work out for 30 minutes for 30 days in a row. No questions asked. Okay.
Go. Love
And
that.
once you do that, you'll realize that working out 3 times a week for 30 minutes is not hard.
Oh yeah. From experience, I can say.
Okay. Yeah. So this is going to be it tying back to creating the ability for people to reset their stress is so many people are like, I don't have time to meditate. I don't know how to meditate or I don't feel the benefits. So just taking one day a week to do that, and soon you'll recognize that you'll be able to do it even through micro points of your day to reset your body. But it starts with just one day a week to do that. And that's why I put that as one of the day four in this blueprint. After the rest, after reset stress, day four, we would like to transition into the sleeping as strategy. So ultimately, eventually, we want to compound all of these seven healing, healthy habits into a day. But first, we can just start it day by day. And I think that's going to be more tangible for people because it's hard to really change lifestyle habits right away. And I find the most success I get with the legacy family is where we don't completely change their lifestyle. We just figure out how to implement these habits into their current way of living. Sometimes they need to drop certain things in order to implement, but oftentimes we just need to transition a few different habits. So day five, sleeping with strategy. It's trying to explain that sleep is not something that we should just take as I'm going to get to sleep tonight, right? It's something that we should really analyze and start to create room for,
Yeah,
like,
100%.
right? And that's the major target that for sleeping as strategy.
What would you suggest? Because to be honest, I'm only 3 months in Canada, moving to a new country away from my family. I was lacking sleep. I was thinking, okay, I would just sleep, but no. I've had sleepless night. I had to literally create a sleeping routine, like turning off night light. So what would you suggest, someone who is an insomniac or is encountering difficulty to sleep? What would you suggest they do to so that they can sleep well?
That's a really great question. I would causation correlation again, right? So depending on the individual, what they're dealing with, which typically I would start with like a conversation, right? Just because no blanket statements here. It's figuring out what's bothering them. Like for you, example, as an insomnia, like someone who's not able to sleep, right? If it's and you can't, you have reasons. You just came here, and first off, welcome, brother. I just want to say welcome.
Let's
You
go.
know,
Thank you.
let's go, right? We're lucky to here to have you. And and that's what Canada's made up of. It's a beautiful mixture
Yeah,
of people all around the world. So I think
that's
that's important.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So for someone, I think typically when we have it comes down to my theory, right, of a way of living, and it's that depression is the fact where we're trying to live in a past memory, and our physical state cannot actually go there. So what's happening is our body is constantly feeling tired because it's trying to project us into a past experience that we no longer can live.
Wow.
And so to fast forward that, anxiety typically comes from us living in the future. And we again are projecting ourselves into a state in which we can't actually tangibly hold.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so this is where a lot of anxiety or I can't sleep comes in, or insomnia comes in. So number one, understanding why we're feeling the anxiety and insomnia, right? And it's like, hey, maybe my brain is keeps pulling me to the past, it keeps pulling me to the future. And so I'm using my cell phone or I'm using the television to actually distract me. And then many people will start to blame the television screen for the fact that they can't go to bed on time. But I say, if you turn off that television screen, your mind is going to start to race just as fast. And that's why we turn to the television to actually go to bed or
To
to help us go to sleep.
distract us from our own demons, if I may say. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. And it's like for sure, honestly, right? Like some certain things we don't want to deal with. So we could, I would say first off, like I'm a really big advocate on breath work. So anytime people feel stress, I have just
So,
this one technique, a deep inhale, quick second inhale, long exhale. Okay. And
oh,
so if you do that 4 or 5 times, the pressure of the lungs and trying to build the VO2 max, our nervous system focuses on that versus an external. And if we can pull people back to breathing, something so innately given to us that we don't even think is there, just like our ability to sleep,
yeah,
right? So many people don't think about, oh, I'm just going to go to bed. But there's some people that have such quality sleep and over the weeks, months, years, and decades, that projects them into a way different algorithm of living and energy and production of currency. That energy brings them back way more vitality, way more life. And this is why I'm always trying to get people to think about how to sleep. Now, great question. If you're in regards to people that are a bit having insomnia, okay, I always ask people two things like, are you not able to sleep because your mind is busy, or you're not able to sleep because you're constantly getting up to go to the bathroom? Because they're going to be two different biological things happening there, right? Now, if you can't go to bed because you're constantly built up, I have this thing, right? So you've heard about the term ADHD before?
yeah. I'm not sure I'm ADHD, but I have a lot of proof that maybe I am.
No, for sure. So in Western science, they like to call it attention deficit
Disorder.
disorder,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But in kind of I would say a new school Eastern Slavic kind of science, they would say ADHD means attention demands high drive.
Whoa,
So
attention demands high drive. Please explain this.
yes.
I want to understand it.
Okay, so when I speak to people and they'll say, listen, I was diagnosed with ADHD. At what age? When I was a kid. Okay. So what typically happens when kids are diagnosed with ADHD? It's because they can't physically sit at a desk for 7, 8 hours a day. That conditioning, that society's sorcery is trying to condition them. Biologically, children are more instinctual, and therefore instinctually their body's rebelling from inside out. And so if you look at other cultures now where they're actually having these children move, learn how to garden, build projects, things like that, what these systems have realized is that if you stunt the person's attention, right, you're going to create a disorder. But if you teach the person how to utilize their attention, then they'll soon realize that attention is actually the greatest asset that we have, more so than time. Because me, and even Jeff Bezos are given the same 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
for me to think about doing what he does, I'm like, I don't think I have the attention span or the focus span to do that, yet I'm given the same 24 hours as this guy.
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
okay, so when someone can't sleep and when they feel really busy and they feel all these things, what I try to get them to do is focus. Your attention demands a high drive. Focus on what is causing the inability to sleep.
Mhm.
Make it make sense. So reverse engineer why that scarcity or that fear factor is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Many of
So
them are irrational or irrational.
most of them are irrational, to be honest. I did some scribbling. I write my thoughts, I journal. It helps me a lot with that. Like to reframe reality in a more healthy and empowering way. And then I can sleep. And gratitude, brother.
Gratitude.
Feeling
Yeah.
grateful for what I have and grateful in advance for what I'm going to accomplish. Wow. Game changer for me.
It's a game changer, bro.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is a
very,
game
very.
changer. So just again, sleeping, like there's going to be tied back that to sleeping is the major reason why that's a really big one, and how you can, I guess, how you can start to prepare yourself to have a better sleep is just being aware of where the attention is going prior to going to sleep. And so this can change, right? So the way we think, right?
Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Wow.
the main one. So, okay.
It's yeah, sometimes the simplest things just works. Pay attention to where your thoughts are going before see, and sometimes our thoughts don't go the right direction. You think about stress, or what do I need to do tomorrow? What happened yesterday? So yeah. Uh, okay. I
Very
guess
true.
yeah.
I was gonna say it ties into this. This ties into day six, which is upgrading self-talk
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to
for sure. So it's funny because if I was to choose one of them from an external point of view, I would say upgrade self-talk because a lot of our self-talk comes from how we perceive ourselves externally, which is really interesting. So and so our external, right? They've always said the environment can cause people to act a certain way.
hmm
And one of my favorite sayings is from Bruce Lee. Credit to him. He
Oh,
said, "Be careful what we say because words have meanings and they cast spells, and that's why they call it spelling." So when we're talking about,
we just got cheers with this one.
yeah, brother, same. It hits me all the time because this comes into how they use the word diet to manipulate people, right? So it just because we don't think about the words, and when we have anxiety because we can't sleep or we're feeling depression from past events we can never change, then what ends up happening is we start to say things to ourselves in our head that are literally casting spells. And this is going to essentially take us further away from who we actually are capable of being. And this isn't literally like, I get it. This to some people, this will sound kind of like voodoo or kind of like hipster, which I
Okay.
totally get it. But even if you end up speaking to these high output performers that clearly use action to get them somewhere, you can reverse engineer and say, when did you have that conversation with yourself
hmm
that you flipped how you communicated to yourself, and they can all define the exact moment.
Wow. That's deep. That's maybe the deepest thing we've spoken about today. Wow. That's really
I
interesting.
think so, and ties into the other major component, which is I'm going to be closer to my birthday. I'm going to try to release it, Alvin, and it's like the saying we've heard where they say, "What's more important, the destination or the journey?" And the reply to that is, well, the company we keep. And then the
Woo!
second the
I
second
love
good
this.
thing to yeah to follow
Go.
up with. Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
No, no, let's go. Let's go. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And then Alvin, this thing after that is okay, so if the destination is not important as the journey, and the journey is not important as the company we keep, then let me follow up that question with who is the person that we spend the most time with during our life? Absolutely, it's
This
ourself.
this
It's
thing right
ourself.
here. Yeah.
This thing right here.
Let's go.
So the sooner we recognize that it's not you versus you, but it's you with you or us with ourselves, then we upgrade our self-talk and literally whatever society is projecting, the scarcity in marketing, oh, you need to take Ozempics if you're diabetic, or you need to do ketosis diets if you're obese, or you
That's
need to,
nonsense. Yeah.
these are all ways for them to leverage the negative or leverage the unclarity of self-talk that we say to ourselves. So for these transformations, like if someone's going to lose 100 pounds, takes a year, constantly the number one thing we do is we have a what we call the mind map journal that they get, and every legacy family member has to do it every week, otherwise they're getting some kind of rough workout the next day. Right,
Punishment.
something.
That's
Yeah, because
punishment
at
for
the
you.
beginning I asked them, Alvin, what's the exercise you hate the least? And they say, oh, burpees, stairmaster. Good, that's the pain. That's the pain threshold for you to recycle and ensure that you're doing these things right. And at least I returned it back to a form of output that would still benefit them. So if they get disciplined by doing Stairmaster or burpees, well, at least they're still improving their cardiovascular capability and they're improving, their mobility. There's tons of positive benefits. No self-deprivation types of forms of discipline. And that's why upgrading the self-talk first comes down to understanding the word discipline. And discipline comes down to understanding that it's a form of self-respect versus a form of self-deprivation. Number right.
Wow.
And
A
and I
form of
think if we
self-respect versus a form of self-deprivation. I love that. That's
Yeah, because how many people, man, that have we seen, right? Celebrities, influencers that have implemented extreme amounts of discipline in their life, only to realize that the discipline was for some form of external validation from maybe somebody that they didn't even know or somebody they didn't even really care about or to know.
and you spoke about Robin Williams in your speech at
Mhm.
Algonquin College. Is it tied to it or not at all? Like
Definitely. This is where I started to realize the power of words, right? Because when I watched Robert Williams'
that's sad,
speeches and interviews, very sad.
sad story, but yeah.
Yeah, he would speak so highly about other people, but he would never speak highly about himself. And that's when I realized it's like, okay, you can have all of the
Yes,
monetary society success, but you are your best friend. And if you don't like yourself, then there is no diet, there is no way of living that will fix that.
preach, brother. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Getting
So
cheers, right? Oh my God.
that's it, man.
That
So the upgrading self-talk, I think, is really important. And then the legacy reflection. So day 7 is just it's been proven neurologically if neuroplasticity, if we do something repetitively, our body will start to find a place for it, right? And I think love, if we look at the word love and it's kind of like proximity. So when people say like I'm looking to find love or something like this, I always explain to them love is typically found within proximity, right? And love and hate are on the same side, on the same coin, just on
yeah,
opposite sides.
that
So
because people we love the most are the one who can get us the most angry. I mean,
so
yeah,
true. It's so
yeah.
I always say, hey, that person's spicy, or those types of people are spicy. But you see those cultures, right? Lots of energy, lots of love to give. And so that's by reflecting on number one, who we are. So reverse engineering, at what time of our life did we start telling ourselves a specific story and carrying that narrative with us?
Mm,
Right. And the second thing is then once you recognize, okay, the self-talk I've been utilizing has to be has been there to continue this narrative. And then you've got to ask yourself, are you happy? Are we content with where this narrative is going?
mhm.
And then at that point, if not, okay, then we need some reflection on a regular basis. It's kind of like as if someone was to hire a coach or in anything like that. They're just essentially helping you reflect on things that sometimes we can't find clarity in. That would be the major reason why those are the 7 healthy habits. If we can implement them every day, move, hydrate for power, move with intention, all of these different attributes, I genuinely believe we will be feeling less scarcity in general. And with less scarcity, we can have more critical thinking. With more critical thinking, we can achieve more short-term, long-term planning. And then by short-term, long-term planning, because we've been able to critically think and because we've done it out of scarcity, this is where our body can typically hold that for a long period of time with delaying gratification because we've thought it all the way through and we've made it make sense, and
Mhm.
this way we can do day by day the tasks that are necessary to get that long-term goal. It's the difference between serotonin and dopamine. Dopamine's
Wow.
the short-term fix, and serotonin is that delay of dopamine over a long period of time.
Like achieving this 10-year goal, 15.
Yeah, like
Okay.
getting on a podcast with Alvin, right? Like I never, no, for real. When in my 20s, I was like, hey, I think it'd be super cool if somebody would reach out to me over my social media and just invite me onto their platform. I thought that would be super
This
cool,
guy.
right? So this is a serotonin moment for me.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you're welcome. Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
welcome.
Both,
And
man, both. And the last one too, like what one, I really wanted to input this on the day on the for the day 6, right? Which is
Mhm.
the upgrading self-talk. I think there's a little chapter that I give to the legacy family, and I'm going to give it for free soon. I wanted to make sure it hits home and it resonates with people.
It's a
And
trailer.
it's the
Oh,
trailer, yeah, the power of words, right? So in our culture, they've kind of labeled addiction as a bad thing, right? So if somebody's addicted to something, then they have no control over their life and they're giving their power to something.
hmm.
But again, in Latin, the origin of the word means adice, and it actually means to serve a purpose, to be fully committed to serving a
Uh,
purpose regardless of whatever it
guilty,
is.
guilty of this.
Of so, in what sense do you feel guilty?
I am addicted to my dreams of helping millions of people become more confident. So that's what oh, that's a trailer. My reel, I've just made a reel about this
There you
dream.
go, man.
I've not
Yeah,
posted it yet. So yeah,
yeah.
that's my biggest, I was afraid of public speaking and still is. I'm not going to say that I don't feel fear. I've just learned how to control my fear and make the thing, public speaking, what we're doing right here, the podcast, it's not about me. It's about the guests, it's about the public, it's about adding value. And yeah, I would say just, yeah, I'm just rambling right now. So yeah, that's my biggest fear.
No, I like that though, because see, that's an honorable Adichie. That's an honorable target to serve
Yeah.
your whole life, right? So the power of words too, right? Like, so if someone says, it's very hard. I think men in general in health and fitness, I think what happened is they've kind of diluted the competitive nature in most
Mhm.
males because as things become more equal,
Mhm.
right? Then we start to notice. I think the biology of between this is that I genuinely believe men thrive better through some form of addiction. And I've seen amazing guys, amazing transformations from people that were addicted to hard drugs like opioids and cocaine. And once they realize
I
that
don't do
this
this,
addict,
but
no, no, for sure. So once they realize that this addiction doesn't serve them,
Mhm.
then they finally realize it's okay to be totally addicted to something that's good for them. It's okay to be ruthlessly aggressive and competitive in this one field because
Yeah.
this is where you're going to push away all other addictions.
Wow. Can I share something very personal? Again, it's in my video.
Absolutely.
That's a trailer. When I just get to Canada, weed is legal here. I'm going to call Cadicat. I was literally, oh, what happened? Mm,
That's okay. I just met. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
okay. So yeah, when I just came to Canada for 1 month, believe it or not, I smoke weed every day. And then I stopped after 1 month. I was like, why are you here, brother? Forget the stress, forget I mean, when I stopped the weed, let me tell you why I stopped first. I started getting mental blanks. I hate that. Because in my country, weed is not legal, so I was not consuming it. But here I was like, okay, let's try this. And remember, I told you I had difficulty to sleep. I was using weed as sleep aid at the beginning, which is
Hmm.
very, guys, do not do this. If you smoke weed or take edibles, whatever, do not do this. If you can, just don't take weed. That's even better. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, I stopped everything and got back to my favorite addiction, which is my dreams, helping people become more confident. So I totally relate 100% to what you're saying right here. So yeah,
Real life example
yeah.
for yourself there. I think so. I have a family member who's a neurosurgeon in Canada here. They retired very early just
Hmm.
because they realized, hey, when you're a doctor or a surgeon or a nurse, any of these things, you take a Hippocratic oath on easing somebody's pain. And after 19 years, mainly neurosurgeons will do predominantly spinal work.
Mm.
Okay. And so he kind of realized for himself that, a lot of the modern sciences, they don't really fix anyone's pain because we don't change the lifestyle. And we don't, but to change a lifestyle, you have to change the way somebody thinks about themselves.
I mean,
So it's deeper.
they fix the symptoms. They don't go
The
to the
symptom,
root cause. Yeah, like you
it's
do,
tricky.
like you do. Yeah.
We try our best, right? We try the best, but we can only go as far as you can only bring you can't force the horse to drink. You can bring it to the
Yeah.
well, but you
That's
can't force it to drink. So this is as a in our position of leaders, like we are, or trying to help people through leadership, through action, through our own self disciplines.
hmm
Um, those things become more and more tricky. And when marijuana has when it's come into society, if I was to, I'm not an endocrinologist, right? So I can't say people's people handle things differently. And on the flip side, again, as a blanket statement, I've personally seen high performers that perform better with the use of marijuana than without it. Now, that could
Um,
be coming down to how they think about themselves. Sorry, go ahead.
Disclaimer, I've stopped smoking weed. I do that's it. How I have trained myself not to be afraid to display my life on a billboard because I want people to see my flaws and my
Oh,
strength so that they can grow. So that's my philosophy. I do only take edibles on Saturday nights to unwind because I work 16 hours a day. I'm still on
okay.
the job search in Canada, so yeah, it's quite stressful, but you know, we know how to deal with stress.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah, so that's my way. Some people drink, I don't judge them, so it's okay.
no.
I don't
No,
drink.
in relation, I would say you're right. If you can slowly stop to use marijuana, it's the best thing
Hmm.
because it does create white spaces. The test they utilized it on was they use it on spiders and they would inject the THC in or different drugs into the spider and see how well the spider could spin the web.
Hmm.
Okay, so nicotine was the worst for the
Oh,
spider.
I don't
They
do
could,
this. I don't do this
yeah,
anymore. Yeah,
right. And I
zero.
mean, hey, like for humans, maybe we don't respond the same way. But I guess if you ever speak to someone, the best way I can explain marijuana, just generally talking back and forth to the people that use it, is it's kind of like a parachute. So if there's a bunch of or bunch of crap happening on the ground, which is our life, marijuana, it can give somebody, it can coat the whites, it can coat the neurons in our brain, creating white spaces, which means it delays the transmission of the neuroplasticity, the
Mm.
transmitters, sorry. And so it kind of provides people like a parachute where you're kind of just floating above the crap. So it gives them a brief opportunity to be in a place where they're not
Mm.
feeling the stress.
You get a top view of, okay, you disconnect with the stress.
Disconnect, see yourself outside of yourself. But this is if it's used in an appropriate setting and the person is kind of primed on how to use marijuana, like other plant medicine, like
Mm.
mushrooms and things like the ayahuasca, things like this.
Like weed therapy, if I may say.
Yeah, weed therapy, right? So I hear what you're saying, and I'm proud of you, man. For because to be honest, that's got to be a very. I was born and raised here, so I've never really experienced the stress that you've had and many others coming to a new country and
Yeah.
recreating themselves and picking up from the go. And I think that's my biggest fear, to be honest, Alvin. So when I see,
Oh,
uh,
really?
yeah, because I have a very close knit family. I have really good friends and network in Ottawa. My career is very stable. My income's been
Oh, yeah.
very, you
And
know,
my
so
life was like this in Mauritius, very family stable. So my dreams were just so big that I would, there's an experiment I do. What are the things I will regret at 90 years old if we reach there on our
yeah,
deathbed? One of them would
yeah,
be going to North America, Canada, USA. I mean, Canada first. It's more aligned with my personality. I'm very kind, etc. Uh, so yeah,
yeah, man.
so I did it. I just did
So
it.
what made you do the jump? Like if you had all this comfort there, right? How did you leverage the potential loss of that versus the potential gain of what you were feeling at the time?
Um, I would say my vision and the level of opportunity and the people. I mean, look, I'm here on the 3 month and I'm here interviewing Benny Legacy. Let's go.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's go, man.
what's better? And
I
I
like
do
that.
have a
Yeah.
secret guest. You already have the name, so I told you. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a Canadian. So let's
That's a
speak
big
off.
one, man. That's
Let's
a
speak.
big one.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
speak off records for this because I want to keep it. Let me do. I don't want to jinx it. Let
Got
let
you.
me let me do it first, and then yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling. So yeah, my why, if I may say, my main purpose for coming here is to meet great minds, collaborate with great minds, and make things happen. Mauritius is a great country. Paradise Island vacation, beaches, turquoise, blue water, beautiful. But it's a
Beautiful.
vacation.
Mhm.
So I have the
I see.
philosophy, you don't grow in paradise. You need to go to hell to grow. I'm not saying Canada is hell. So Benny. we are all going to leave this earth one day, whether we like it or not. So, my question for you is, how do you want to be remembered when you're gone?
Mm, that's a great question. Um, I think to give it, I think I would look back to my lineage and what inspired me from them. Um, to go a little bit of just not too much history, but when my family immigrated here on my dad's side, they had started a Chinese restaurant, and over the years they grew so much, popularity out in Nova Scotia, a really small town, that when my grandfather passed, um, so much of the town came to his funeral. And what I realized about that is that even him, he didn't have the greatest connection with his family due to the scarcity and everything, the immigration and everything. But when he passed, I realized how much of a positive impact he made on people, as simple as something like cooking them a meal. And so through personal training, through educating people through nutrition science and how we can implement those into our own lifestyle, that's pretty much what I would want to be remembered for is when I go is just how I was able to make a positive impact with changing the way people live their life day to day. And if those lessons can provide them some stability versus scarcity, that would be the ultimate goal. And the second one is that if I could just put it out there quickly, is that we as individuals have 10,000 thoughts every single day running through our head. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're in so much need of expressing it, but we don't. And we live in silence because we feel if we express those needs and concerns, then we're going to be seen as less valuable or less trustworthy because these fears live within us. And having conversations like this, allowing people to express themselves, engineering where they want to go, that gives them the freedom to feel confident and authentic. And if I can play a role in that in any component, any capacity, that would be something that I would feel very honorable at the end to be
Wow.
remembered for.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks,
Um,
brother.
I know you have some questions for me, but before we go into this section, if people want to follow you or want to find out what's your help, what's your wisdom, how can they find you online, Ben?
So perfect. So my website is liftyourlegacy.com. You can just fill out um, any information you need there that'll get sent to me, or you can just find me on Instagram, which is Benny Legacy, or my coaching page, which is Lift Your Legacy, and I will reply to you there.
Let's go.
So, Alvin, pretty much, I have a couple questions for you. Major thing is because you gave me a platform and you're helping aspiring entrepreneurs or people looking to build their brand and make more of a positive impact and get their message out there. So, I
So
wanted to ask you a couple of questions
let's
as
go.
you're the host, so that your viewership can also learn a little bit more about you as well.
Sure, brother.
So, the first one I wanted to ask you is, what would you say to someone in your scenario or in the scenario you were 3.5 months ago, what would you say to them to focus on in order for them to take action to go to a place that they may not feel comfortable, they may not know they'll even achieve it, and they have to walk away from everything familiar and comfortable to them? What would you say to them?
That's a great question. So I will speak from my experience, and like I always say, that's my experience. Take it in, take it in, understand it, debate it against your own narrative, and then form your own opinion and find out what works best for you. So that being said, let's go. I'm a big why person, have you've understood, Benny.
Sure.
So first, figure out why do you want to do this big move. Very important. And that's explaining how to find your why. It's an entire episode, so we'll not dive into it. So my why is to help millions, if not billions of people. Let's dream big, build more confidence, because I know from experience how the lack of it will literally destroy your life. I was bullied at school, to be honest. I was literally bullied at school because of my lack of assertiveness and confidence. But no more, brother. That's no
That's
more
it.
here now.
That's it.
No more bullying happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my why. So find yours. It takes a lot of trial and errors to do this. So once you find your why, which I would say it's the macro, coping mechanism, I would say. Now, on the macro, how to deal with the emotional turmoils that happens when you leave your family, your loved ones to move to a new country. And you have to have solid coping mechanisms. So that's, I would share what I do. I do have meditation practices. I work out every day. So soft workout and hard workouts, pull, push. I mean, you know the gist,
Yeah,
Benny. Uh,
for sure.
meditation, breathing techniques, like you mentioned, your breathing technique during this episode, I use the 4-7-8 method, like inhale for 7 seconds, keep for seven, no, inhale for 4 seconds, you keep it for 7 seconds, and exhale slowly for 8 seconds. So this helps me a lot. We have the Wim Hof, which I mentioned, I don't know, during this episode. That's for big resets.
Yeah,
And most important of all is my gratitude practice that I do in the morning. So I'm grateful for what I have now. And at night, I practice something a little bit different. Grateful for what I have now and grateful in advance for what I want to accomplish. And this reminds me of this quote of Tony Robbins. I think you've heard it. If you cultivate gratitude for what you have now, everything that's added will just feel like a bonus. So I practicing gratitude helps me gain the mental clarity and give me the tools to regulate my emotions so that I can do tough things. So yeah.
I love that, man. I like that. So that's a very good one. And then I'll bridge it to the second one. Because you've been here now for 3.5 months, you said that's crazy. It just
Yeah.
blows my mind still, right? Like 3.5 months, and you're already in doing these endeavors and carrying this energy. It's just it's inspiring to be honest. So I appreciate that, Alvin, for the answer for the first one. I think your viewers will definitely gain a lot from that, more insight on who you are as the host. And so I want to ask my second question. You've only been here 3.5 months, right? So my question to you is, in where would you like to see yourself in 12 months, being here, as in here in, the new place, as well as your brand, your company, and what do you feel will be the biggest challenges or hurdles to overcome in those 12 months? And what do you feel you'll use to overcome that, or your mindset to overcome that?
Wow. So let
Pretty
this,
loaded question, sorry.
yeah, yeah, no, I like it. And to be honest, I do have some clarity, but I must have absolute clarity over my 12-month goal. For now, if you ask me about numbers, I won't have them because I'm still like it's a new country. I have paused my coaching. I used to coach people doing content. I have paused everything 3 months before I immigrated, and 3 months, well, 3 months, so 6 months basically. And so the ideal, not ideal, it's not a vision for 12, it's a goal. It's me posting at least one reel per week, doing one podcast like this per month, and since I've paused my coaching, so my first strategy is to find, believe it or not, I'm not perfect. I have to find a 9 to 5 for some time. That's the transition. That's the price I have to pay for my dreams. So, temporary 9 to 5, resuming my coaching slowly but surely. And I'm not going to oversell it. Like say in 1 year, I'm going to full time into coaching again. It's more like 2 to 3 years. That's again, but it can happen. With
Yeah,
social
man.
media, things
Yeah,
going
yeah,
viral, anything can happen. So
absolutely.
I would, yeah. I'm sorry if you were expecting a much more detailed answer. So that's the truest answer I can give for now, for where I am right now. Yeah,
I like that, man. No, that's as authentic as it gets, right? So, and I think it leaves room for the people watching that sometimes we don't have perfect clarity, but we still take a step forward like you did. So
that's it.
I
That's
appreciate that answer.
We don't have everything figured out. We have not figured everything out, guys. We are just imperfect being taking imperfect actions and hoping to get, not hoping, because we are doing some things, hoping to reap, I would say, uh, the fruit of our efforts, if this makes sense.
Yeah, I
In
love
short.
it.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Thanks for those.
Thanks to you.